ProfessionalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity. Today's daily brief brought to you by the good people at Smucker's Jam. No, I'm not doing that. Give me a break. Like they'd ever sponsor us. Anyway, we got maybe about a half a dozen people watching. But hopefully I can say something here of value to you guys here today. But if anything, good that we're nice and consistent. And here we are into August, sort of summer doldrumsy kind of market state. We're just sort of working our way here through Q2 earnings reporting, I guess. Of Q3, I guess. And now we won't be hearing from the Fed for quite a while. So Chris has told me, just FYI, that where he is, internet's maybe a little splotchy. Oh yeah, you think it's already dying? I can hear a lady talking somewhere, but I don't know whether I'm hallucinating that or not. But you think I should, so you killed your OBS then? Is that what you're saying? All right. Okay. I think actually my camera picture is going to be backwards, so you might see me flip around here. Because, but anyway, that's here nor there. All right. So is that the Beamish's
Yep, that's your feed.
feed going?
Yep.
All right. Well, what the hell? We'll have some fun here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's just the way it goes, you know. What can you do? But here we are, Tuesday, like I said, it's the beginning of August, August 1st indeed, working our way through earnings. And I think, you know, on balance, they were generally okay, a little bit better, a little bit worse on some fronts. And actually fascinating, it's weird, like every 5-10 years, I go through this in the market where maybe I'll just show you here, just screenshot. You just get all these new companies that all just sort of turn up out of nowhere, and I never heard of them. I mean, maybe they're just old companies that rebrand themselves and stuff. But I noticed, like in the healthcare space, got a whole bunch of names I'd never seen before. Maybe they're old companies, like I said, that have just rebranded themselves. Then you get like a whole bunch of old companies that have been around for a while, but now they're getting rebranded and under new names. You know, I don't know whether you guys saw, but I think it's Bed Bath and Beyond is now actually officially Overstock, or Overstock is Bed Bath and Beyond. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So a little bit of a sort of a tumultuous time in the market here, to say the least. If anything, really good analogy of us making this grand transition out of the 20th century and into the 21st century. And I think they usually say that the 20s, 30s, that's sort of like when you sort of get comfortably into the new century and you sort of lose the previous century's sort of, I don't know, anchors, benchmarks, whatever you want to call them. So anyway, here we are, headlong into the 21st century. I think I had pointed out yesterday, I don't know whether I had made it a public comment or not, but I know we were definitely talking in the after party when we reviewed the dashboard data. You know, the breadth of the broader market doesn't impress me here at all right now. And you know, listening to a number of different market pundits, it's almost like does the tail wag the dog or does the dog wag the tail? You got enough people who are generally you know, pretty good market analysts, and they all start saying, well, you know, August is going to be a pretty down month, and things are looking grim. And sure enough, that's what happens. You know, it's just sort of, you know, self-fulfilling prophecy. So, been hearing, and you know, this is one great thing about TRI's community, our trading our members lounge here. I absolutely love this lounge. It's so cool. Lots, of course, people posting memes and jokes and all that kind of fun stuff. But really great community of very active traders. First thing this morning, it was lots of activity in the lounge here this morning. I have to say, there's a bunch of very, very smart traders on our site on a regular basis. So anyway, it's an interesting time in the market, to say the least. So your market summary report, I suppose, for Tuesday, August 1st. Here we go. I guess first things first, talk a little, like if anything, like to be a demonstrator of best practices. Had another person actually reach out today. Have we actually figured out a date for this boot camp that we're thinking about doing this fall? I'm not exactly sure on dates just yet, but I think Matador, I know you were asking earlier. If anything, I think maybe let's try and have a meeting this Saturday. Those people that are super interested, and if we can get the numbers that we absolutely know for certain, maybe up better part of a half a dozen or so, then let's maybe start thinking about looking at places. I know Adam, he probably has a couple places in mind for us, and we can start maybe firming up some dates here this fall for that fun boot camp. Actually, today I was in the battle stations room, that sort of our day trading room. We have one OG who's basically in the battle stations room every single day like a boss. And I think he took about 40 or 50 ticks from the market this morning in ES, just doing a great job. So if you are watching this later on, nice trading, Craig. You are a scholar and a gentleman. You probably hear me talk about the CFU setup. That's the Craig FU setup. And he is such a boss with that setup. So I might even maybe for the boot camp, maybe have him one day do a remote walkthrough of his setup. It's so killer. And man, he's really, really good at it. As well too, on top of my particular bent, I look at the market from a very unique perspective. It's great to hear that Chris is just marching along, continuing his adventures with Top Step, trying to do the opening range trade setups. And I think he said, I think he went for 1 for 3 yesterday, and took a few ticks from the market, even while he's traveling around. I think on balance, what I see is we're just all running our small businesses of trading. I didn't really have anything concrete this morning. And of course, every time I show you guys the setup, I want you all to see basically the same setup, the setups that I teach in the education program. So less is more in this kind of situation. So didn't really have anything cleanly set up this morning. But I suppose we can walk through what I did see here today for you guys. So start off the morning routine. Of course, it's August, so I'll probably, after I'm done this, I'll go through July numbers and see how I did on balance, whether I actually made money or lost money. Balance, I think I saw that the numbers were relatively good for July. Computer is operating very well lately. It's a knock on wood. And the team, actually, I'm running the OBS here stream, so the team has set us up here fairly well. So pretty jazzed about that. And I have to say, website's coming along. It's looking crisper by the day. Of course, our CTO, today is Tuesday, so that's Sjord's day to report on the Daily Brief Afterparty. So we'll check in with how things are going in the center of the universe, Breda, Netherlands, and also to sort of his latest comments, pointers about site development. In fact, I think I saw him here. Yeah, there he is. Sjord, you ready to rock the after party here?
Yes, we are.
There you go. So if you haven't heard of Sjord's voice in the past, there he is, TRI CTO. And it's really enjoyable because if there was one piece of person in the crypto space that if I was going to listen to him for advice in the crypto space, it would definitely be Stuart. I'm super lucky to have him on my team. So thank you, Stuart, and I can't wait for your report. Personal health. it's almost comical, really. I got so angry at this stupid Canadian medical system that I actually got kicked out of this doctor's walk-in medical. There's no family doctors available here in the Lower Mainland. So you have to go to these stupid walk-in clinics, and they're such idiots. It's so stunningly unprofessional, and I actually got politely asked to not bother coming back to the office because I just tore them a strip. I couldn't believe how unprofessional it was. So, way to go, Brian. PMA for the win. But hey, don't buy. If you're listening from overseas and you hear somebody go, "Oh, Canada, universal healthcare. Oh, it's a utopia." Oh, this is anything but utopia. Thank you, substitute drama teachers, but we don't want to get Brian derailed with politics, and I know Eddie doesn't let me talk on politics. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But anyway, it's an ongoing battle. Actually, I couldn't believe it. One of my childhood sort of reference points growing up, and he was actually, when I lived in LA, he was a comic there doing his whole routine and his troupe and stuff. Later went on to TV fame. But Paul Rubens, couldn't believe it. He died here recently. He's not that much older than me, so, oh God, I guess my days are numbered. Anyway, so I feel a little bit older, but anyway, showing up with bells on and hopefully a positive attitude. And diet's actually not doing too bad considering the hyperinflation in our society. Still eating relatively well. I had a nice breakfast this morning to give me all full of pep and vinegar. News coming down the pike. The news first thing this morning, as I had sort of said earlier, is this sort of like does the dog wag the tail? Does the tail wag the dog? So many people talking about August going to be a soft month, and you can see Europe didn't start off on a very good note. Interesting to see Japan pretty strong here. Actually, you're hearing a lot of people talking about how the yen might come screaming back here, although the central bank in Japan is not really interested in raising interest rates. So that's probably why Japanese stocks are looking relatively attractive versus American stocks, because they just don't have any borrowing costs over there. The rates are still like basically at zero. And of course, I had told you guys all recently about an idea that I absolutely loved, and the damn thing goes and rips to new highs here again today. That's the Toyota Motor Company. And if I was going to be, I wouldn't touch Allen right now. Allen's got a big outside downside weekly key reversal working. That's actually off of this chart that I just showed you there a second ago. Yeah, it's underwater slightly, but gap and go, and really the signal for me is this massive key reversal bar here. So I wouldn't really be interested in touching Allen, and you can see he's down on the day. And if anything, he's getting himself in trouble with the city of San Francisco and his new social media platform that I used to absolutely love using Twitter, but I think I better find a new social media platform. I don't know what the hell that guy's doing with that place, but I don't think it's going to be the Twitter that you and I know going forward. Anyway, the stock, if I was going to be shopping for automotive stocks, is this Toyota Motor Company. And wow, what a pick. And isn't that how it always goes? The ones that you go, gee, I sure would love to get long this. This is such a screaming buy. There's my order, still sitting on the frickin' order book. Look how close I mean, this is a trader's life, isn't it? Like, that's my order right there, just sitting there. And look how close I came to getting filled, and they were just like, fuck you, Brian. There's the order right there. And look at what it's doing. Oh, goodness. So, anyway, the one thing I can say to myself, like mentally, I suppose, at least I was thinking in the right direction. So, anyway, I hope some of you were able to take advantage of that, because that was one hell of a pick. Japan actually not doing too bad. which is interesting. Because all things equal, I would have expected that this strength out of the Asian market would have dragged North America and Europe higher. But you can see Europe not very happy here today at all. And the Americans, we had some data that would, I mean, it wasn't like fall off a cliff bad. But I suppose we'll get to that in a moment. So there's your backdrop. Europeans feeling a little bit sanguine. I've said repeatedly that I do believe that a huge portion of this past 20 years was actually just an outright lie. And frankly speaking, the Chinese, just as an analogy for you, when I was a broker, I used to have one particular client who did a lot of buying of sort of like low quality merchandise, things like plastic forks and knives and stuff for the restaurant industry. And he would always say, if you ever buy anything from China, you have to throw like a third or maybe half of it out because it's just garbage. You can't use it. And I would actually believe, honestly, that probably 50% of the economic growth that we've seen out of China over the past 10, 15 years is actually just a blatant lie. And my hunch is that this whole damn Fugazi's unwinding here now. And then their solution will be, oh, we're caught in telling a lie. All right, let's go and start a war and start murdering people. And that will change the topic of conversation. That's usually how these totalitarian dictatorship nonsense crock of shit, horse shit, fucking humans operate. But anyway, there you go. There's a nice little rant for you. So not a big surprise. Now we're actually going to hear data that actually China's not nearly as wonderful as it is. And half of the crops that you see are actually just spray painted fields. And they actually glue rocks onto rebar and plant them in the ground to make them look like cotton fields. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, so not the best start to August there coming out of the rest of the world. Fast forward over here to North America. And of course, being here in North America, watching the Econs first thing this morning. You can see this was sort of our start to the day. We had things like Canadian manufacturing data, some big U.S. manufacturing data, jobs numbers, that kind of stuff coming down the pike. Like I said, it wasn't really like it was disastrous, but it wasn't really great either. So Canadian data basically came in line expectations, slight tick higher than expectations, I suppose. If anything, that might even mean that if we still have the inflationary pressures at the grocery store and at the gas pump and stuff, the central bankers could continue raising rates here. U.S. data, keep in mind, Canada is only about 3% of the world economy, so it's not really that relevant. But U.S. data coming in here, manufacturing PMI, you can see, came in slightly lower than expectations. So, and the point here is that the 50 number is that sort of magic pivot. So, reading above 50 means economic expansion. Reading below 50, 46.4 there is economic contraction. As well, that you've been hearing the Feds talking about the tight labor market and all that kind of conversation. And yeah, like a difference of what is that, 80,000 jobs from what was expected and forecast. Mind you, you can see the consensus was actually a little bit missed there. I'm going to call that in line. Manufacturing employment ticked slightly down, so if anything, that'll make Jerry a little happier. And the quits numbers actually coming off a little bit as well. So, put it all together. Like I said, not really earth-shattering. I think just more sort of this, I had to say, as a market darling, I think it's always in our best interest to sort of keep an eye on who the leaders are. Let's call us spade a spade. Past 5-10 years, obviously, Alan here has been a market darling and a market leader. And I think that outside downside key reversal there It's an interesting commentary on the whole market. The market's not really pressing to new highs here. We're not on the lows. If anything, I'd almost call this kind of like no man's land. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Alan just drifts between these two trend lines. And the whole market, you can look at it. I've been personally watching the Russell 2000 very closely. This is, again, a weekly price chart. You can clearly see top end of the range, bottom end of the range. If there was going to be resistance coming into this market, it would be against all these previous highs. And you notice here we got smatterings of a shooting star doji candle here this week. Start off that August. Could we use a period here of maybe 6-8 weeks? Just try and clean things up a little bit of a consolidation to maybe set up a further move higher? Sure, that wouldn't surprise me. And if we pop on the dailies and we do something silly like let's see if there's any divergences on these momentum studies, you can see we got 7 different potential momentum divergences with even crazy things like outside downside reversals being formed in the marketplace. This key reversal never fired, and if anything, that's the one reason why I really like key reversals, is they're pretty clean cut. You would have had to have a move below this low here to actually fire that sell signal. But could this turn into some sort of M, and then we just slowly work our way back down into key support? You can see a huge gap right here. There's also a cheeky little gap right there. And then look at this. There's just a monstrous hole in the charts right here. So we could definitely use some backfilling here, I think. As well, too, I'm a big fan of chaos theory and Feigenbaum's. And what a surprise. You can see off of this very well-defined bottom, bang, nailed Feigenbaum, 2.618, sort of your initial target. And what should happen here is actually we should come back down and ask ourselves, do we actually really want to be in the next quadrant up, which would take us up into that 4669 way up top there. I get the feeling that we're just not quite ready to get going here. Probably need to see a lot of these sort of divergent kind of messages clean themselves up a bit. So economic data, I wasn't really impressed, either bullish or bearish, kind of just a mixed bag. So heading on over to the markets, what I like to do is just pull up 4-hour charts. And actually, I start off by, on the weekends, I like to pull up the daily charts and try and see if I understand what the sort of trends are on the dailies. And then every single morning, I pull up 4-hour charts and I just say, okay, where are we? And if we're brushing against highs, then I want to think about shorting. If we're brushing up against lows, I want to think about buying. From a day trader's perspective, you can see the gold market came back down into an interesting low here. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. We actually have this very wide channel working, so we were coming up against that. And of course, you can see we're beyond the 200 SMA on the 4 hours. And we're beyond ATR range, average range on the day. So I was very interested in hunting some sort of pivot there in the gold market, but just nothing really developed here this morning. As we go through the day, I suppose we can just do a quick update. Boom. Where's our gold market? You can see down 28.5 bucks. Still flirting. Now we are at that uptrend line channel line. We are at those lows. So I don't really have a problem at this point drilling down to things like the 3-minute chart and just hunting bullish divergence and then hunting price structure. We had the potential for a bottom to come in here earlier on this morning. This was heading into those ISM report releases. I don't really like taking these kind of bottoms that are this big. And indeed, it looks like it was a trap. They ran up to the sort of VWAP kind of settlement kind of idea and then quickly right back down and ran the stops and just didn't set up for me. So nothing to do there. Still watching, still waiting, not really in a big hurry. And once we actually got through all those econ releases and stuff, and I didn't see anything really setting up through here, I was just like, man, I don't think there's going to be anything to be done today. Crude's got a V top working here. Very strong bull trend. You can see there's the up channel that I'm thinking that's working right now. Could have come into some support here, but again, I like ATR levels. I like against previous lows, or maybe Foggenbaum's up top, ATR's up top, that kind of idea. Right here, it's kind of wishy-washy, no man's land. And as you can see from the, we can just pull up that 3-minute chart right now.
Hey, Brian. We
Yeah.
got about 5 minutes left, FYI.
Wow, geez, that time went quick, eh? Gotta try and cut down on the political rhetoric, eh? Anyway, looking at the crude market, you can see it was a real mess here this morning. I don't mind hunting these bull divs. You can see there was 4 different bull divs confirmed on this rally here. If I was going to take a long, I would want this thing to settle down against, especially that candle body low. Maybe give me a nice little W, and then I would trade back to the VWAP. The fact that we're just up, down here, no trades for me. Just have to leave it alone. Moving on to the stock market. Now, the stock market, kind of like what we talked about earlier, is August going to be like a tough month here? Also, too, pretty big transport company kind of went under yellow. Big trucking company finally succumbed to, I guess just poor debt management stresses, and down it went. Interestingly enough, though, if you actually look on it, you can see the stock itself is all over the map here. They might even have some sort of white knight or something come along here. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show you. Where the hell was it? Yell. Yeah, there it is. Yellow Corporation. So you never know. You might actually find might be a good example where if they declare a certain type of bankruptcy, you actually get into bankruptcy protection, and then the stock can actually start cleaning itself up a bit. I'm certainly not going to say that this story is over. You can see Yellow Corp bankruptcy. They've shut down operations. So how ironic in a total woke sort of world. What ends up happening? Stock rallies on them declaring bankruptcy. So I mean, let's see how this plays out. It just is an interesting commentary that a big transport is in a bit of trouble down there in the States. Does that reverberate through the economy? We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. Anyway, with regard to the stock market itself, I actually did have a couple setups that I thought actually fired. It's just I was just too not with it first thing this morning. But had a pretty good setup. You can see this is my setup. I like to hunt for trade location. And if I show you that 4-hour chart, I think the main reason why I didn't take this trade was we had sort of one reason. Well, I mean, maybe 2 or 3, but we had this previous pivot low. Price was coming down into it first thing this morning. We had this tail, and, this tail here, price did come down here, and buyers bought it up. And actually, like I said earlier, in our day trading room, hanging out with Craig, he actually did snipe these lows, and he took a good chunk of ticks from the market. It's just I just wasn't feeling it. In fact, actually, my comment was, I'm just not in the zone here this morning. But I think that this was a valid trade setup for me. It just came in so quick, so early this morning. It just sort of caught me off guard, and I missed it. But if I was on my game, I think that's probably a setup I would have been in. And interesting to see, lots of back and forth, and we're kind of making lower highs and lower lows, so we're not really in the, a rip-roaring bull. And I guess what I'm worried about, does this not look like our classic stop run FU setup? This is the one that Craig took, and he took some nice ticks from the market there. I had a nice little inside bar. I just was too chicken shit to join him. So I missed that trade. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm just sort of giving you some color commentary here this morning. So if I was going to be trading and I been on my game, I think I might have pulled the trigger on that ES, but as you can kind of see from my notes here, I'm actually thinking that maybe this market's topped out, and I don't know. I wasn't really in a huge hurry to go and buy stuff here. And then that leads us to good old corn, and I suppose, and you can even see trade of the day. I had written this up. I even put it in the lounge. This is my setup here. There was that horizontal support and resistance level, etc. Willie stupid, bullish MACD div, and a W in price, but I let the trade slip through my fingers. Anyway, that's the way it goes. All right, so finish off the conversation here with you guys this morning. Good old Bitcoin. Unfortunately, we had been talking recently, on the public videos and stuff, especially that I do on Sunday. Then, it just looks to me like we've got these lower time frames. I'm on a 4-hour chart here now. Lower time frame, bearish bots within bearish bots. And then my commentary through the weekend was, could the market, and I think I did the broiler chicken show like right in here. And we did start to see the market rally back a bit. The question was, actually, I think this was when I was with Liam. I think actually when I was doing the show, we were selling off. But anyway, the question was, could we accept back into value? And if you're going to learn something from these kind of videos and stuff like that, this is a really good learning piece. So you can see the market was trying to firm up here. Could we go and W out? And you'll notice that would basically mean that we've accepted back into this yellow here. And you can see the buyers just did not show up. And there's still a big hole on the profile here. There's just nobody interested in buying this market above this level. It's almost like there's a big sort of like invisible line in the market, eh? It looks like it's like right there. Maybe even just leave this on the screen. Let's go like that. Yeah, something like that. So you can sort of see this is the top half of the market, and we lost that level. And now you can see how they tried to accept back above that level. No buyers showed up. So as a result, 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, M tops, and down we go. And of course, if you look into the space, what's the fundamentals going on? Mr. Gensler and basically the powers that be in the United States of America, who are probably really driven by the politicians, who are driven by the bankster masters. They want to put all competition for the U.S. banking system, U.S. hegemony, fiat, whatever the hell you want to call it. They want to put all those people out of business. So not a big surprise that we're starting to hear that the U.S. regulators basically are declaring war on this proof of stake kind of concept and people staking and getting paid for the staking service, which I think on balance is a validation of the networks. It's the way that they validate it. The question here is somebody going to buy one of these POS coins with the anticipation of creating an income stream from the POS framework? And if that's the case, then that means that's an expectation of a financial compensation or an investment. You are investing with the anticipation of getting paid down the road. And if that's the case, then this whole POS model is at complete odds with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. And it makes sense. I mean, it just, as a guy who worked in the industry for 30 years, I can completely understand where the regulators are coming from. You obviously, the people in crypto aren't going to like this, but I can understand where they're coming from. So having said that, that obviously put a bunch of pressure on various different crypto. But it is interesting that, this is a name that we were barking about here over the weekend that we'd really like to buy. I mean, really nice looking price structure coming out of it. And why the hell is that damn thing rallying? Up 16.5% on the day. So, clearly there are bullish motivations going on in the marketplace. I know, in fact, actually, we got Stuart on the call here today. We were kind of talking a little bit about this one, looking pretty optimistic. Couldn't break out, so we didn't get like an outright big ass buy signal here. But, I mean, just where is this thing relatively to where it's been over the past year or two? If you just went and picked up a little bit of this, is there a half decent chance that a year or two down the road you're going to make some half decent money on this thing? I think so. So I actually like the idea. But you can see there's a bit of red on the screen here. So also too, of course, we've got the Litecoin halving event. It's either, it must be tomorrow or the next day after that. So we've got that kind of unknown overhanging the market. But, there are individual names that are trying to perk up here. Again, I mean, can you force yourself to come in and buy against the bottom ends or ranges? I don't know whether I have anything specific to tout with regard to crypto. I was just really impressed that AMP could actually rally in the face of the broader market's concerns about POS and all that. All right, so if anything, let's pop on over to that after party. We'll check in with Stuart. He'll have a much more sort of informed commentary about what's going on in the crypto space. So I'm going to look forward to that. And then, of course, as well, too, maybe he'll give us an update on site development and those kind of things. All right, why don't we leave it at that? Have yourselves a great day. I hope you had a little bit of a market update kind of idea what the hell's going on in the market. We'll be back and do it all again tomorrow. FYI, we have Stock Pickers Club tonight. So all recent level 3ers, you are welcome. Love to see you in the group tonight. Did think I saw David around the site, so maybe we have him back because it is August. He said he was taking July off. Regardless, it should be a fun conversation. So anybody who wants to come talk stock tonight and you are a site OG, we'd love to see you in the meeting tonight. All right, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best, and bye for now.